Look at that. It's so cute. It's so good. All day. She ain't budging, you guys. Brows ain't budging. Like, we're not a Cheeto. Am not a carrot. Would appreciate not looking like one. Hi you guys, welcome back to the Clean Beauty Code. I'm so excited for this video because we're doing something fun and a little bit different. We are doing a full face of a brand and then a ranking of all the products in that brand. And we're doing a full face of a COLÉ and a full ranking of all their products because they did just launch at Sephora, and I feel like because they just launched and it's a little bit easier to get their products, but it's also a little bit easier to find like your shades and all of that, this would be a fun video to do. So you can kind of see, at least in my opinion, what are the best products in their range, but also how they apply so you can see for yourself. So I was really excited to see a brand like a COLÉ launch, and the founder did used to work at Glossier, which I found really, really interesting, and I was so excited. And I was like, the second, I didn't have even breathe. The second it launched, I put everything in my cart and purchased it right away. And ever since then, I've been purchasing their products. I'm excited to get into this ranking of a COLÉ products. I'm also excited to do this entire full face of a COLÉ so you can see how they apply. But then also you can see kind of where I rank their products in terms of which is my favorite, which maybe I would, if I were to grab, if I were to go and I was to grab something, which ones would I necessarily grab? Because they're, you know, a good amount of products and not everyone's going to want to grab everything. So yeah. I just want to jump into this video and get started, but I would love to know down below if you used a COLÉ. What are your thoughts? What's your favorite product, if you have any? And yeah, let me know down below because I'd love to hear what other people think about their products. And yeah, I just want to jump into this video and get started. So if you're excited for this video and more videos like this, then please like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this full face of a COLÉ and this full ranking of a COLÉ products. A full face of a COLÉ, let's get into it. And then after that, we're going to be doing the full ranking, and I'm going to be giving you like more information on the products and what I think of the products when we do the full ranking of a COLÉ products. And I'm excited. A COLÉ launched. I've had their products since launch. I ordered everything like the second it dropped. I ordered everything, and I have been using their products ever since. And every launch I purchase whatever's coming out. Let's just get into it. Oh, we'll get more into the details as I do it, but first let's do our brows. So COLÉ has this brow gel, and I don't know what it's called. What it's called? Ultra Flex Brow Shaping Gel, and it's in a clear. And if you know me, you know I love a clear brow gel. I just do. Oh my God, my dog is so loud. My dog is really needy today, you guys. And I wonder, I feel like she's gotten more needy recently, and it's very, not concerning, but I give her so much attention and she still is like, girl, not enough. Okay, so let's do the brow gel. So this is what the spoolie looks like on it. And so it has a side, this side has longer bristles and this side is shorter bristles. And I'm going to actually go in with the shorter bristles first and then kind of course correct if I need to with the longer bristles. I would love to know, what is your favorite clear brow gel? Okay, brows are dry, so we're going to go on with their brow pencil. Now, this is their On Point Precise Brow Pencil, and I have the shade 1B Dark Brown, and it has a spoolie on the end, which I love. I mean, most brow pencils have spoolies, but there have been occasions where I'm like, why don't you have a spoolie? You kind of need to be able to brush it out, and I'm going to go in. So this is what it looks like. It's like a little tip, which is nice. I love a smaller tip. I honestly recently have been using the Westman Atelier one. Not recently, but I've been using the Westman Atelier one, and it doesn't really have that preciseness that this one does. And so if you like a really precise brow pencil, this is great. And you know what's great about this brow pencil and these brow pencils in general is that their shades are like the right shade. They don't skew too warm, and I feel like a lot of brunette shades, and this has always been my gripe with brow pencils for brunette, is that they skew sometimes really red. So next we're going to move on to their skin enhancing tint. I have two shades. We have, oh, there's makeup all over this. from last time I used this, girl. I have the shade medium 1 and medium 2. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do more of medium 2 because it's the lightest of the two shades. So that's medium 2. And I'm going to do a little bit of medium 1. Just a touch. And I'm going to kind of work up to it. And if I have to add more or less, I just will do that. Because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm very pale right now and my whole body is really pale. I probably should have done only medium 2, but here we are. We're concocting a shade right now. Medium 1 just has like a really nice warmth to it that I feel like my skin kind of needs. So I feel like that's I feel like that's good enough. So we're going to apply a little bit to our face. I'm going to blend it out on this side with my fingers. So next, let's move on to concealer. So I have two concealers from them. I have the shade medium 2, and then I have the shade medium 1.5. Medium 1.5 is way too dark for me right now, like me. And medium 2 is more of a peachy shade. I'm going to apply a little bit of that, and if I have to apply a little bit of a different concealer, I'm going to apply one that is a really similar texture, the Ilia concealer. But the COLÉ is actually a little bit more serumy than the Ilia one. It probably is more similar to the Kosas concealer in consistency, but that's all right. And this is the shade medium 2. Look how pretty that is. Just so cute. And what I'm going to use to blend it out is I'm going to actually use the COLÉ concealer brush. And this is, they only have one concealer brush and it has like a little like curve here. And I love that. Love. It's just so good. So we're going to blend this out with this here. And I really like this concealer brush, and I really struggled for a really long time to find a concealer brush that I liked, just because I needed something. I only have one other one that I've found that I've enjoyed, and this one is great, and it blends everything out seamlessly, but it doesn't suck up a ton of the product, which I really enjoy. So that is the concealer blended out. I think I'm actually going to just add a touch, not a ton, of the Ilia concealer. I just want a little bit of brightness. I do need to get a brighter shade of the COLÉ, but the texture of these is relatively similar, so I feel comfortable mixing them together. But if you struggle with like dark circles and they are really blue, this shade is really good for that. I have really dark circles and they're very purple blue, and sometimes I just need a little bit of something to, like a little bit of peachiness to really kind of control that. And make sure I get right in here. I have a lot of darkness in there. And that is the concealer done. I'm really happy with that. COLÉ doesn't have a bronzer, so I'm going to apply bronzer really quick, and I'm just going to do this one because it's not too bronzy, like too intense in tone. This is the Rose Ink bronzer, and I'm in the shade Seychelles, and I'm just going to apply it directly to my face here and just blend it out. Okay, next I'm going to apply just a touch of blush because the COLÉ also doesn't have a blush. So I'm going to take the Say Beauty blush in the shade Chili. And I'm going to just take a little bit, nothing crazy. I'm going to put it on the back of my hand like this, spread it out so it isn't just too much. I'm going to take a little bit on this brush and I'm going to just apply right here. Okay, so that is blush on. I'm happy with that. This is a great shade, and it's really pigmented, so I share it out because it gets a little crazy. So then next we're going to go on with powder. So if you're new to this channel, I really like this powder. So this is the COLÉ, what is it called? The Skin Melt Loose Powder, and I have this translucent shade. And I'm actually just going to take a little bit of this and set my face just through the middle. I do like the dewiness that my face has right now. And with how freaking dry it is in the Northeast, we need a little bit of hydration. So I'm going to just kind of powder right in the middle. And although this is like the translucent, oh my gosh, the translucent shade, and it's white, it doesn't show up in like, it doesn't make my skin look crazy. It doesn't like do any crazy cast in photos. This is a great powder because it doesn't show up. Now, if you want something with color, they do have colored setting powders as well. I love a translucent setting powder. It is always my preference, but I know a lot of people prefer like powders that have a little bit of color in them to kind of amp up maybe their coverage or whatever. I kind of prefer something that's really, really sheer, because then I can also, if I want to, set the top of my blush, bronzer, whatever it is, if it's a cream, and I don't really have to worry about it changing the color at all, but it like kind of just melds it all together and looks really nice. So the next we're moving on to the COLÉ highlighter. So this is their eye-catching highlighter, and this is, if you are not a highlighter person, but you like a dewy kind of cheek, this is for you. So this reminds me a lot of the Tower 28, their balm, but this has more to it. So this is the COLÉ. I'm just gonna put some of that out so you can kind of see. And I don't know if you can tell, but it does have a little bit of shimmer to it, which I do enjoy, and you can apply it directly to your cheeks. So that's what I'm going to do here, just so you can see kind of how it applies to the cheeks. So I like to apply this with my finger. I prefer to do that just because I feel like, for me personally, whenever I apply anything, it could be blush. I don't apply blush directly to my cheeks in a stick. I don't apply anything directly to my face if it's in a stick, for the most part. There are a few exceptions with a few bronzers, but even then, it is just better for me not to do that, because I feel like it always moves the product underneath. It just does. Next we're gonna move on to eyes. But before we do that, I'm actually gonna do a little bit of bronzer in my crease, just to add a little bit of depth there. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a bronzer and apply it to my crease and kind of all over my lid, but not too crazy. Okay, so there's that. I'm also gonna apply a little bit on my lower lash line, just for a little bit of depth. Okay, so next we're moving on to mascara. So I have this mascara here, and this is their Lash Amplifying Mascara, and this is what it looks like. So this is the wand, and this is a pretty basic looking wand. It's not anything where you're like, whoa, this is crazy. What I do like to do with this mascara is I do like to clean off the wand. I do find a lot of the time mascaras, and this is just my theory, I don't even know if my theory is correct, if there's too much product on the wand, I notice that I have more running than I would if I didn't clean it, like if I didn't clean off the wand. So when I clean off the wand, I kind of forego kind of that issue for the most part, because I do have a lot of running with mascara. So I'm usually if you have really weepy eyes, or you just have running because your lid is oily or your under eye is oily, whatever it is, I'm usually a good test of if mascara will run on you, because I do tend to have issues with mascara running, and I know a lot of people do. So I'm going to look down into a mirror. I'm actually going to look down into like a smaller mirror. I find that this helps me the most without getting mascara on my lid. Okay, so lashes are done. Loving the look so far. Next, we're moving on to lips. So, COLÉ has a lip oil. This was the original shade, which is just their universal shade that they had, and now they came out with this holiday season. They came out with a clear and a more pinky tone. This is, if you're new to this channel, I really like the shade of this lip oil specifically. This is such a good universal shade. And I'm going to apply this first just to my lips so you can see how it applies. I mean, what do you think? Just such a pretty shade, gives you some pigmentation without it being too much. Sometimes pigmentation's like, girl, I just wanted a little touch. So this is this without anything underneath. I'm going to actually apply it with a little lip liner underneath, just so you can see how it plays with products underneath it. But this is nice, and the color is really pretty. What do you guys think? Okay, now that I took that off, we're going to apply a little bit of this lip liner. This is the Victoria Beckham Beauty in the shade 04, and this is a nice shade for me kind of year round. I love this shade. It's such a good shade. I actually, every time I wear this lip liner, it looks a little bit warmer in the monitor I'm seeing than it does in person. I always get comments, especially from my friends. You know how like if you have different undertones or just even complexion shades or whatever it is, stuff doesn't look the same on you as it does on other people and vice versa. I have a friend who always wants to try this, but our undertones are just really significantly like different, but I'm also a darker complexion shade. And she's like, it just doesn't look the same on me. And I'm like, I know, you got to find your like universal pinky kind of tone that works for you, because like most pink tones don't work for me. Anyways, I'm going to do a little bit of the COLÉ on top, just so you can see it. I mean, look at that. It's so cute. It's so good. What do you think? What do you think of the glossiness? Let me know. Now we're done with the full try on, so I want to kind of just jump into the ranking. So let's get into it. Okay, a COLÉ product ranking. Let's get into it. So we're going from least to most favorite. I do enjoy all of these products, so I don't dislike any of these, to be honest. So it's not going to be like one is hated on or anything like that. It's just I'm ranking this based off of what I grab the most and what, when I put it into my routine, was just such a standout, and that's how I kind of go with my ranking. So let's get into it. The bottom of the list is this one here, and this is the COLÉ highlighter. Now, the only reason that this isn't really ranking higher is because I kind of like a little bit more out of my highlight. So it's just not my type of product, but it is a beautiful product, and I do have people in my life who are obsessed with this. And it's just so good. It adds like a beautiful highlight to the face. If I'm struggling, like on days where I'm struggling, my skin is feeling parched, dehydrated, I need something like this on my cheeks where it just adds a little bit of dimension, adds some shine, and hydrates, because you need a little bit of something to just make your complexion like pop a little bit and kind of make you look hydrated and healthy, and products like this are amazing for that. So I really do enjoy this. It's just not one I grab a lot, because if I'm going for a highlighter, I'm going for other highlighters that I have in my collection that I do grab kind of non-stop, and this is kind of an occasion grab for me, if that makes sense. Okay, next we have the concealer. So the concealer is a really serum-y consistency, and if you struggle with dry under eyes, as I do, like just parched, SpongeBob, Strug City. SpongeBob in that episode where he went into Sandy's like habitat or whatever you want to call it.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. I 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 need it!
That's my under eye a lot of the time, especially in winter right now. And this is really, really hydrating. The reason it's ranked where it is because even with like when I let it sit for a little bit, I still get some creasing with it. I mean, of course I get some creasing because my face moves, and you're always going to get creasing for the most part unless you like really pack on the powder and that. But there are some formulas that I don't get creasing with at all, and this happens to be one of those where I do get a little bit of creasing, and the reason for that is because it happens to be more hydrating, but also it doesn't crease on everybody. It's just on me it creases. I know people who use this where they like it doesn't crease at all. It works for them. Just on my under eye specifically, it creases a little bit. It's not a ton of creasing. I have concealers that crease way more. This just happens to be kind of ranked a little bit lower just because of that. But this is a beautiful formula. The undertones are amazing. If you struggle finding concealers that work for your complexion, especially like undertone wise, definitely check out COLÉ's concealers because they're really, really great. And they just kind of, I mean, look at my under eyes. They just kind of sit really nicely. I just find towards the end of the day that I get a little bit more creasing than I would like, but it's not anything insane like at all. It's just a little bit, and it's easy to tap out. It's not anything dramatic. But anyways, next we're gonna go on to this, the mascara. So the mascara is a really interesting formula because I do find it to be a little bit drier than some formulas that I really enjoy. I do love a drier, you don't like a super wet mascara, because like, why you so damp? Why you so damp? Like, it's just so damp that it like almost like slides off your lashes and then kind of, I don't know, it doesn't give me that fluffiness. So I do love a drier formula, but this is ever so slightly sometimes, depending on the lash I'm going for, a little bit too dry for every day, depending on what type of lash look I'm going for. But I do really enjoy this. I do find towards, if I'm wearing mascara on the bottom lashes, which I very rarely do anyways, unless it's a night out, I do get a little bit of running just on the bottom here, but it's not anything crazy. Like, it's not anything more than some of my favorite mascaras. But because of the formula being a little bit drier, and I prefer something that's more mid-dry, and this is kind of mid to a little bit more dry. It's not like the driest formula, but it's not kind of the dryness that I prefer. I don't grab this as much because of that, but it does, I mean, it makes my lashes look beautiful. It is such a beautiful formula. It's just in terms of like my preference for every day, but I do grab this mascara a lot. It's just not as much as my other mascaras in my collection, if that makes sense. Okay, next. Concealer brush. So the next favorite product that I have from COLÉ is their concealer brush. I don't have all of their brushes. They have 3, and this is, I'm assuming, probably one of their more popular brushes, because it's just, this is so good. I mean, you saw it blend out concealer like a freaking dream, and when you get close to your face after you've blended it out, it's just so good. Like, it's just, it smooths it out. It doesn't, if you get like, sometimes I get concealer here that like kind of bunches, which is really annoying, and it's only some formulas. This one, I don't have that when I use this concealer brush. It's really, really great. And this type of concealer brush is really nice because it kind of just like works with your crevices, which kind of, I don't know if I love that statement, but it does work with the crevices on your face, and it kind of really gets in there and does such a good job, but it doesn't absorb too much of the product, but it absorbs just enough that you're not getting like a creasy mess under your eyes. Okay, next. The eyebrow pencil. So I actually really, really enjoy this eyebrow pencil, and I just feel like the undertones, especially if you have dark hair like me or you have darker skin, the undertones are just on point. Like, they just give their money. They just give you what you want. Money undertones, I'm telling you. Like, they just give you what you want, and they have like a nice range of options. I feel like a lot of the time, especially drugstore, I have had so many occasions where I'm like, why are my eyebrows red? And I know there are people with red undertones in their hair, but like, it was such a struggle to get a good undertone, and kind of a more, I don't even know if cool tone is right, but it's like neutral undertone to the eyes. And what's great about this is it feathers in perfectly, wrong side. It feathers in perfectly because the tip is so small, but it doesn't put too much pigment down at once where you're like, whoa, honey, you're looking like a Sharpie. You're looking crazy. Calm down. And it also brushes out nicely. So like I usually like to brush out the ends. Just, I don't love an intense looking end of the brow. This isn't 2016 brow era anymore where like it was really, really sharp and really dark at the ends. I prefer something just a little bit more subtle on the end so it doesn't look so intense. And so this is great for that. And I do feel like this wears really nicely all day, and I highly recommend checking this out, especially if you struggle finding products with good undertones. This is one to check out. Okay, next is the brow gel, and I'm actually surprised that these are as high in the ranking as they are, just because I do really enjoy so many of the COLÉ products, but they are just really impressed me, and I really was on the hunt for a really good eyebrow pencil and eyebrow gel that just were, they pair really well together, and these pair really well together. This eyebrow gel is like so intense, like, and not in a bad way. You're not going to look like you glued your eyebrows to your head, which I know is a trend and people love, but I prefer something a little less gel looking and a little bit more natural looking. And so this does just that. It holds all day. Okay, all day. She ain't budging, you guys. Brows ain't budging. Like, you will be shocked how long your eyebrows last, and this is like the reasoning behind it. It has such good hold, and the good thing about this is it doesn't dry down in the most intense way possible, which I find sometimes with some more jelly, this style kind of brow gel, that they dry down so fast that like you don't have time to kind of work with it. So I apply the brow gel, let it kind of dry down a little bit, not fully. It doesn't take too long to dry down, but like not fully. And then I'll take the spoolie and kind of brush through, and I don't get any white cast on my brows. I don't get any of that weird peeling that you get from some brow gels. Again, really, really good. Okay, next, the skin tint. I love this stuff. You need to watch my full review of this because like I love this stuff, but this is really, really nice. Undertones are amazing, blends into the skin. I feel like although they call themselves a skin tint, I would say, and I do feel like they're not super pigmented in the sense of like, it's like crazy coverage where you're like, you can't really, shades aren't flexible. What I will say is I do feel like the consistency doesn't feel as much of a tint to me as it does a tinted moisturizer, but in a good way. Like it just melts into the skin. It's beautiful. I love the way it makes my skin look. It does give me, like if I don't powder it right away, like it does just, or don't powder it at all, because sometimes I just don't even powder. It just gives me like a really healthy complexion, glass-like looking skin. I'm obsessed with this. And again, undertones on point, but also the fact that this brand focuses on the forgotten shades, the shades that have been always kind of left out of launches from brands, is incredible. Because like, quite frankly, other brands need to step up. And I know Fenty came out, and before Fenty there was Cover FX, and they had an incredibly large shade range and they did undertones correctly. When Fenty came out, they really kind of started to make people be like, hey, guess we got to offer more options. And it needs to continue. More brands need to start trying harder to get, not just throwing a shade at you, because they don't just throw a shade at you. They give you a shade that makes sense, and it isn't like a carrot chic. Like, we're not a Cheeto. Am not a carrot. Would appreciate not looking like one. Like, this isn't like the 2004 tanning beds. Like, can we please get the undertones correct? And they do such a good job. Okay, next, lip oil. I love this lip oil. This is probably my fourth one of these, and I can't run out of them. And they were out for so long. They sold out for so long, and it was like horrifying. This is their universal shade, and they have a clear, a more pinky, like a light pink tone, and then they have this one, and it's so good, super hydrating, a little bit of a thicker consistency, so not thick, but a little bit of a thicker consistency, so it lasts super long. And it's just like, it's thicker, but you don't have like the stringies. Like, no one wants that. This isn't Victoria's Secret lip gloss circa 03. Okay, we're not going with Juicy Tubes. I mean, Juicy Tubes are so great, but like Juicy Tubes did have a little bit of that. The the Victoria's Secret like lip glosses though really have that stringiness. This is great. I really enjoy this, and they just give me what I need, what I want, what I require. So good. Okay, last but not least, my favorite product from COLÉ is their setting powder. It's just so freaking good. So this is a loose setting powder, as you saw, and this is the component. So it has like a dish in here, which I love. I believe NARS has a powder that's like this. All brands need to create powders. So if you have a loose powder with a dish like this, and this is what it looks like. Ooh, powder got everywhere. And this is what it looks like. I will tap in with my brush. Ooh, let me just show you what I would do. Actually, tap in with my brush like this. Get some product on here and put it on this dish so that I don't have to use it all, but I don't have to waste product. And it's great. And then I have product on this, but it's not too much. And I feel like that is the vibe. It is so good. I love this powder. I mean, you can see I set my face already, and there's a little bit of sheen peeking through, but in a good way where I look like healthy. My complexion looks healthy. I mean, you can see there's a little bit of sheen peeking through. I did set my face, the middle of my face, and like T-zone area, and there's a little bit of sheen peeking through, but my skin looks like healthy and not flat. I find that powders, I just don't love a matte complexion. And so if you're a type of person that wants a little bit of mattifying, but you don't want a matte complexion, but you want a really good like translucent powder, this is great because it gives me matte in the middle, makes me look great all day, but it kind of controls the oil, but it doesn't like mattify like crazy, and I'm not looking like a weird oil Drum? That doesn't. I don't look like, I was by the French fryer. The fryer. And I got oil all over my face, even though it's more of a soft matte and it's not true intense matte, at least in my opinion. By the end of the day, I'm looking great. And I love this. It's so good. And this doesn't give flashback in pictures. This doesn't look crazy in person. Like, it is just so good. And it doesn't make my skin feel dry. And even if I do my under eyes, it doesn't feel dry. Love this powder. So good. And yeah, that's my Ami COLÉ ranking. And yeah, that's it for this video. That's it for my Ami COLÉ ranking and my full face of Ami COLÉ. I would love to know your thoughts down below. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.